Alrighty, so this isn't really much of a normal stream. I just thought I would stream the process, see if anybody wants to jump on, say hi, talk about racing sims. I haven't updated the site in a little while, so I figured I would do that. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. My intention is to get the site up to date, basically. I know there's been a few announcements and things since I last posted. Just been too busy with work, really. Okay, looks like Screamer got a new trailer. Interesting, okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post this. It's been out for a while, but my site's more of an archive, so I'll just backdate it. Gonna see what other text and stuff I can find about this. What? What's wrong? I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a decent header image out of this one. Okay, that's the first new news item I've posted in a couple of months. Okay. Wreckfest 2 next. Crap it. They basically wrote this one for me. Hello, I'm good, thank you. Just trying to update the website. I haven't done it in a really long time, and just unfortunately a little bit too busy, overwhelmed with stuff, and I now have some time, so trying to catch up as best I can. Um, how about you? Yeah, I'm sure it's financial. I mean, it's the same thing with Assetto Corsa 2 and stuff like that. You know, they very well could have updated the old title, or Evo, sorry, not 2. But yeah, releasing a new product, you always get a new wave of people. The new Jeff Crammon release, yeah, it is legit. They do the new Micropros will have some ownership over it and stuff like that. I frankly don't know whether Crammond has been involved. I think he would have had to give them the rights to his name again. But it is a legitimate thing. Like for me personally, I like the fact that it introduces a new group of people, a new, you know, younger people, I guess, to Jeff Crammond Sims. But as far as, the nostalgia factor and stuff like that, you may as well just, you know, get the game off eBay or download whatever you need to do to get it running and stuff like that. It kind of it doesn't really appeal to me, but I like the fact that they're doing it for a newer audience. It is definitely a legit thing, though, even if it appears to be shady. Last time I had any communication with Crammond was almost 2 years ago, so I don't even know how he's doing, but I know he's still around. Not a young chap now, though. Was that the right number? Yes, okay. Yeah, I do think that the some of the screenshots for Grand Prix 2 seem to show the GP2 X86. you know, modifications. So hopefully, they've paid the guy that made that modification, so it would more easily run in a modern OS. Grand Prix 3, though, I'm a little bit concerned there. It did require a lot of messing around to get it to run, and even on period hardware, Grand Prix 3 has a lot of issues where the fundamentals of the game change so much between Grand Prix 3 and then the Grand Prix 3 add-on that it just it really is almost problematic to run. So I hope they've actually done some work there and they're not just thinking that they can get away with, putting it out there. But for Grand Prix 1, I would assume that they might be even going to bundle like DOSBox with it or something like that and do something like Good Old Games does. But yeah, we'll see. I think, yeah, I don't think it's a reaction to Grand Pro Circuit or anything like that. I think they were probably working on this a long time, especially with all of the changes that I can see with the licensing. Like you can see when Bernie and Formula One management actually took control of certain things based on what kinds of logos have been removed on the screenshots between like Grand Prix 3, Grand Prix 4. There must have been a new F1 Concord agreement, but in between those two titles, and it's actually pretty funny to look at it and seeing what they must have had to go through to check out all those contracts and see what they could do and what they couldn't do. But you can't release an F1 game right now unless you're Codemasters. So yeah, they'll have had to figure out how safe they feel legally. I'm part-time now. I was involved in the layoffs, but yeah, I'm not working full time, and I've had to take a pay cut to remain. I did the licensing, so the cars and stuff that you see in the software, that was me. What do the manufacturers think about unlicensed mods? It depends who they are. A really good example is the not Traction, Overtake. The Overtake website, which is its main income driver is advertisements based on people visiting the forum to download mods, and Porsche bought that. So it really there are definitely some manufacturers that are even supportive of mods. You can approve mods as long as they don't infringe on certain rights. Like if all that is possible to be copyrighted of something is a name and a logo, and you just don't use the name and a logo, then there is, unfortunately for the manufacturer, there's nothing that they can do with that. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's just a legal loophole. Having to listen to the front door too, and my headset's trying to squeeze its way off my head. But it's the same with any mod, really. Like if mods were something that would get something taken down, then the first thing taken down would be something like Overtake. You know, it's just how it is. This big grey area that's been around modding forever. And of course, you know, it's what the Assetto Corsa product is built off of. Forgot to put the patch notes on this one. I did read that Bugbear are under financial pressure, the developers of Wreckfest. That's unfortunate. Seems to be a trend right now. I'll do the video first. Certain teams do a really good job of commenting on their videos, making it easy to repost stuff. Yeah, there's been plenty of people try to take down mods and things. With RF1, when I worked for ISI, BMW contacted and asked for us to remove the BMW Sauber from RF1, which we did. There's no point fighting with them, and the mod itself was out there anyway, so whatever. Although if we'd have fought it, they probably didn't have the rights to even tell us to do that. It's like if you look at Live for Speed, the exact same car that was licensed under the exact same deal with Intel is still in Live for Speed. So they probably just ignored it. When I was at ISI2 with RF1, we had F1 contact us and tell us to stop using RF1 because it included F1. And we just ignored that. They didn't even want us to use it in the address of the website because we had RF1 and RF2 for sale at that point. And RF1's website was under RF1 and RF2's was under RF2. And yeah, they didn't even want us to use it in the website address. But as far as taking it as far as suing someone, I don't really remember it happening a lot. In fact, I think the last one was I was at iRacing when this happened. Was iRacing suing modders, which for some reason my brain always thinks 2004, but it's 2005 when I started there, and I was answering all of their incoming emails, and I had come from the community and I was friends with the modders that were being sued by iRacing, and I was obviously reading a lot of abusive emails, and you know, yeah, that was a rough period. But yeah, there's a lot of situations where I think a brand has more control over their designs than they actually do. Like if you look at the roof Porsches and stuff like that, they're able to take Porsche's cars and sell them as their own cars effectively, and they were able to license what is 99% of Porsche to iRacing and everyone else. Whenever when Porsche was exclusive with EA, you were able to go out and still get a Porsche license kind of from the roof manufacturer. Yeah, the iRacing thing was unfortunate. Yeah, it kind of it really was mainly because they did a 180 on things. Papyrus was shutting down, obviously, um, and they probably thought that was the end, and then they wanted to go out in the right way, where they gave the community tools and the capability to do great things when they had obviously lost their engine. And then I think some point after that decision was taken, John Henry, who was a sim racer himself, you know, said, "Why don't we do this?" And then they went ahead and did it, and then they realised they were competing against what they had done. So then had to shut that down, and it's difficult. And I've been in situations like that, and I always think of No Man's Sky with this, where like the guy's passion for what he was building kind of gave the wrong message in a lot of ways. Um, and like I played No Man's Sky when it first came out, and it was a perfectly functional game. I actually enjoyed it from the day it came out, but I hadn't seen a lot of the build up to it and everything, so I hadn't seen what people like. I hadn't built up that expectation, if you get what I mean. So I didn't really get hit by it wasn't what I expected. But I've been in situations mainly with ISI because the game design document only existed in the boss's head. So he would sometimes say, like, I would get shown what was basically a tech demo of something, and then I'd be told, make a video of this, show it to the community, let's get some feedback, and see what direction we need to go with it. So I'd do that, I'd put it out there, and then I'd obviously feedback what was said, and then like a couple of months later, someone in the community would ask me about said feature, and then I'd be told, oh, we're not doing that anymore. So, but in between the video posting and then me actually getting a solid update that we're not doing it, I'd been saying, yes, we're doing it, yes, we're doing it. They're working on it, sort of thing. And then I'm then stuck in a situation where I feel like I've done the same as the No Man's Sky guy. So yeah, it's I think all it was with iRacing was them doing a 180, but it was tricky because like, as I always am, like I feel like I have people that I'm positive with everywhere, and yeah, I still communicated and knew the modders and stuff like that were being sued by the company I worked for, which was not pleasant. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous though, isn't it? Like, I think my dog is snoring. I don't know if you'll hear it or not, but she's a loud one. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that they don't find a way to get around that. I know it might look like a dead pixel or something, but even if they were able to carry a signal through to YouTube to say that it was from a game, like like a pixel in the corner that activates some bypass that we're not told about, but they would have to have you know that information would get out. So I think everyone who's posting a real F1 video would just add that pixel. So maybe not. I'm just talking crap. It's unfortunate though when sim stuff gets caught up in the FOM protecting itself. Does the FOM exist anymore? I don't really know now that Bernie's gone, or is it just Liberty or whatever the name is? What am I doing? Okay. Um, okay, what did they say? There we go. Oh, did that get all? Yeah. These days it's all automated takedowns. Yeah, I do think a human used to be involved, but now the massive amount of YouTube videos that they get is probably pretty crazy. Um, I kind of wonder, like, if I was one of the earliest, not on this channel, but I used to before iRacing allowed you to save replays, because when they first released, they didn't have replays at all. Because when you saved a race, it was gigs of file space for a single race, and they hadn't optimized that yet. But when iRacing first launched, it didn't have replays. So what I was doing was I was outputting it to a DVD recorder that I had, and I was exporting from the DVD to digital video, and then I was uploading that to my YouTube channel at the time. So I'm pretty sure I was the first iRacing YouTuber, but because probably wasn't many people that would go through that. But yeah, when back in the early stages when you were uploading, it really didn't seem like there was a lot of actual uploads to YouTube. It seemed to be really slow, and the main page, like, you would even have like a latest videos listing and stuff like that in the early stages. There was so few videos getting uploaded. Yeah, those were better days when humans were involved with stuff. I am a little bit worried about where AI is going with everything. I think it should be used more for almost like things that humans can't do, you know? I've read a lot of things where, like, they're able to look at X-rays and stuff and like spot things forming before a human would say it was forming and things like that. So that's the kind of thing, like the heavy machine learning type of thing, where AI can pick something out, but it seems to be getting used for a lot more than it probably should. Yeah, these guys write it for me. They're so good at this. Stuff like this, I don't really like to do a massive amount of writing on it. I don't think there's that much point. I'd like to do, depending on, when I find more work, I would like to do more actual interviews with people and stuff like that. I really enjoyed doing that. the one with Terence Groening is definitely my favourite one. Yeah, I don't like that it's taking, I don't want to be the they're taking our jobs kind of guy, but I do fear AI taking a certain amount of jobs and generally making stuff worse because I'm self taught with PHP and everything, and when I have tried to see if AI would work to help me code something, I'm generally having to fix issues with it. So if anyone is using AI, for actual code that they're deploying, I'm really, really worried about where that's going to lead us. I think it there hasn't been any situation at all when I've tried using it that it's actually just given me workable code. Even in PHP, which is fully documented, it'll make up things that don't exist, and then it won't tell you until you directly accuse it of making something up. It won't tell you that it made it up because it's trying to please you. Um, yeah, it's not not good. Which is, you basically need to know how to code to get it to code for you, if that makes sense. Was there a picture of the minivan? My sump pump in my basement is going nuts because the snow's melting and it's raining. It's a mixture. I have a lot of emails to go through that I haven't really checked for a couple of months properly. But yeah, some will send things through on email. Some I have to go find it. Race Room is a good example. Like I know they've made a lot of changes lately, and I'll have to go find that. and it basically depends whether they have hired a group to do it. iRacing too, they don't send anything out really. Yeah, there's a few things you can subscribe to see stuff, but in like really, I just have like bookmarks in folders, and I'll open like 20 at a time, and I just go and check everything. And you can get everything out of iRacing from their website. I don't get early access to anything with iRacing. I think the only thing I have there that most people don't have is that because I originally had a staff account, I think when I left the company, I had like $20,000 worth of credit, and that was taken away. But yeah, I think I have pretty much every piece of content, and the maybe 80% was given to me or bought through credit or whatever, but the last 20% or so I've had to buy because my goodwill ran out effectively. But yeah, it depends. There's a few that will actually hire really good agencies that will send stuff. Yeah, and the agencies will do a good job of finding out all of the news sites and creators and YouTubers and everything that they want to send to. Which, if you know where I work, I feel like the list of people that it was sent to was actually good, but obviously the sentiment not so much. God, I haven't even posted since NASCAR 25 came out. I think NASCAR 25, from what because I got a key for free for NASCAR 25. It seems okay. I think, if anything, you could say what iRacing themselves, I think, have said is that it's the worst NASCAR game they will release. You know, I think they can only improve on it, really. I am. I think I'm more disappointed with the way that NASCAR itself runs than anything else right now, and that's the main thing that stops me from playing NASCAR games. They're just not. It's not the sport that I, from England, fell in love with. You know, it's completely different. It. I think the thing about NASCAR that I used to really like is that it felt like it was a marathon sort of thing where you just have to survive until the end and be in a position to win, and make sure your car setup's in the right place with the changing conditions and stuff like that. And I feel like stages took that away from me, and then the championship itself, it sort of makes a lot of the racing pointless. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Hmm. Yeah, I think it's done well. I don't think, like, it shouldn't get negatively reviewed, NASCAR 25. Like, I think it's good enough. It is very obviously of the, you know, makes me think of the Tony Stewart games that Monster Games made and stuff like that, like all of the career stuff and everything really. Yeah, the stage racing, I feel like it's okay for like local tracks and much shorter races and stuff where you kind of want to bring the pack closer together. But with NASCAR, the whole thing that I liked about it is that someone could go to a particular track and that was their weekend. They were gonna completely dominate and they were gonna like lap everyone up to the top five or something like that. And now it's like you just have to survive till the last restart, and then because there's going to be one, and then they've enforced that there's going to be one with green, white, checkered. So yeah, there's just multiple layers and layers and layers that NASCAR put on top of each other that just completely took away everything that I liked about NASCAR. Yeah. What am I doing? Okay. I think I'm going to skip NASCAR 25 for now because there's too much to update. Um, I see NASCAR. Sorry, iRacing Arcade got delayed after a certain other title was released, which don't blame them for. I'll post that now. I think the only comments that I've got on, or every comment that I've had so far, has been on YouTube. And everything I've got on a certain other platform is spam so far. So I need to do a spam bot. But for now, they're just helping my stats, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, I saw Neil's video, especially talking about it. Um, I think like feedback like his, where I feel like he's really respectful, um, but obviously at the same time brutally honest. Which like feedback like that is, in my opinion, fantastic, and I hope that they listen to stuff like that. Um, it just it's frustrating sometimes. I like when I was at ISI during the R Factor 2 era. I knew that we had issues in certain places, and it was really frustrating how a lot of the people that were like on our side would be defending us on our forum, to the point where someone who comes in and posts with genuine negative feedback, that they're not being difficult about it or anything, but the just giving negative feedback was enough for them to get attacked by people that support us. And it's really frustrating when that happens, because you need to hear that, and you end up in this kind of an echo chamber, and those echo chambers exist within studios too, where you'll get a group of people telling themselves that everything's fine, and yeah, it's only when the product gets out there that it's discovered that it's not. But with rFactor 2, it had a decent amount of problems that really needed to be looked at deeper, but there was supportive voices that were kind of shutting it down, and it was frustrating to deal with. But I like Neil's a lot, and I think his video, especially talking about the physics of both that and Formula Legends, the other arcade title that released recently. I think they're really good, really honest, and usually correct. He's a good guy. Kevin Bobbitt. Kevin used to be my boss for a bit. Delayed, not relayed. Oh, I haven't tried it. Did he actually? He actually released the arcade mod for AMS1. I haven't tried that yet. I saw that he made one, and I saw his video of him driving it and stuff, but I must have missed that. Okay, I'll t- I'll I'll check that out. Very cool. Hello, GTR driver. Yeah, I love that he backed it up. Like because he was critical of the physics for the Formula Legends game, um, and stuff, and it's easy for anybody to be critical of something, but for him to be in a position where he can be say, like he can say this is how it would be better, and actually give a physical example of that is just fantastic. I think this is mostly fluff, isn't it? Other than the actual information. Okay. it is really funny seeing iRacing doing an arcade version. Like they did a really good job in the early days of pushing the not a game angle. Uh, training tool, training tool, training tool. When in reality, it's a game. They made their money from sim races. And like you weren't even allowed to call it a game. You had to call it a sim. And then obviously now it's... did that work? Yes. Just took a long time to load. November 26th. Okay. That's a new plugin for some time after. It might delete the link. What does the plugin do? Are you talking? You're not talking about the arcade mod? Mod. It's something else. Why is my site going so slow? I should be able to catch the link after the stream in the comments log. Why is it taking this long to post? Okay, it worked. I think I'm going to delete the cache. I wrote a caching script that because I'm literally on the cheapest host that I can be on. And basically, whenever you view certain types of posts, it creates a text file, and then rather than reading from the database or actually executing the PHP, it basically loads the text file as the page. And it keeps each one for a different amount of time. And then if you view the page after X amount of time, then it creates a new text file. But I'm on a super cheap host because the site doesn't make profit right now, so, and hasn't for a long time. Okay, I'm just going to wait for that to do its thing. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, so there's an Automobilista 1 quality of life project that adds rain and new AI, accurate turbo gauge readings, and the ability to see other players' AI pit crews. Wow. That's really cool. I think I'm glad for Riser that they have already released AMS2 because I think like rFactor 2's biggest competitor first of all was rFactor 1, Um, other than having rain and stuff like that, it was so work in progress still when it released that people weren't going to move from RF1 to RF2 when it first released. Like, modding was more difficult for RF2, like all that stuff. And then Assetto Corsa came along and was easier to mod than RF2 and basically did, most of the stuff that it needed to do. And then obviously that took over as the main modding platform, and then RF2 was in trouble from that point onwards. And I feel like if that plugin had released earlier, then AMS2 would probably be in trouble. But yeah, they've probably been out long enough, have a big enough customer base, and is different enough that they'll be okay. But that's crazy. Um, that's really cool. Um, it's interesting how the game was rebranded from Circuit Superstars 2 to iRacing Arcade. Yeah, I don't know if it helped that they said nothing for a year. Like they stopped developing Circuit Superstars. They moved on to Karting Superstars, and then they didn't say anything for a year to that customer base about where they'd gone and what they were doing. So I think there should have been some messaging there that, the Karting Superstars guys knew, or customer base knew, we got an opportunity to do something here, so we went and we're doing that. We'd appreciate your support, sort of thing. But no, they just went completely silent. Okay, I have a host error. That is the cheap host at work. Oh, it's already back. So let me try that again. Okay, so it has run. Good, good, good. Ta-da. Okay. I'm going to skip Tokyo Extreme Racer for now. I feel like there's been so many reactions to certain other games releasing where people have had to clarify stuff. Looking at Endurance Motorsport Series now and how they're tweeting to make sure people understand that their sim it's not a hardcore sim. There's a nice wave of honesty right now. My headset keeps trying to pop off my head. Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying there. I think like I worked at ISI and I was the person licensing the engine at that point, and I'm probably the reason why Riser went to the Madness engine, because I wouldn't give in, basically. And yeah, I think he's done a good job with that, though. RF2, I still think RF2 and by extension Le Mans Ultimate, it's one of the best experiences you can get, but RF2 was just unfinished and had no clear direction for a really, really, really long time. And it never got completely cleaned up how it should have been because it was trying to cater to probably too many different kinds of racing and all that stuff. And yeah, it was just a mess because of that, like a real mess. Yeah, I do agree that, it's probably the best tech out there, but it really needed a refined direction. And it was frustrating to see that Motorsport Games didn't seem to get that when they took over the studio and the engine and stuff. Like I thought, why not do RF2 on for PC titles like they have with LMU, um, because it's frankly easier to reduce features, make sure those features work, and then move forwards. Um, and then on console, use the NASCAR Heat engine. But they didn't. They tried to, we're going to bring rFactor 2's physics into NASCAR 21. And yeah, what a mess. It, when I left there, which is funny now thinking about it, when I left there in 2023, um, it was because I was really worried about like finances and stuff like that. And, I have a family, bills to pay, which is actually difficult again right now with the current situation. But yeah, it kind of like looking back on how they have actually pulled things together and where that company is at right now, they've done a fantastic job turning that around. Yeah, I there was definitely people within ISI that were asking for packaging and stuff like that to be taken out of RF2. There was this thing about the main feedback of RF1 being, like mismatches and stuff like that in multiplayer races and how we had to get rid of that. But then the fix was worse, in my opinion. The RFCMP uh, package files and stuff, and having to go through that process of doing it, and then layering one package file update on top of the original installation, and then finding out you couldn't uninstall something because it was reliant on something else. Yeah, it was such a pain. Well, I do think that the non NASCAR branded stock cars that are in RF2 are among the best stock car experience you can have. It's but it wasn't, I guess, marketed enough. They were pretty quiet about it, and with good reason too. Like there's not the track support for someone to bring a league over and stuff like that. There just isn't. Um, and RF2 never had that kind of modding community that would do that. But it's funny actually. I sponsored. I was working on the commercial side with stuff quite a bit, and I sponsored Joey Gase in 2015 at Phoenix, the number 32 R Factor 2 car, and like it worked out. Like I immediately got more money out of that than we'd spent on it because it was real cheap. Like I think they were just kind of happy to have a sponsor on the car almost. But he unfortunately got, was it Stenhouse that wrecked him? He had like brake fade and stuff, like I was listening to the radio, so he was having to, I think he was having to lift much earlier going into the turns, and he was struggling. And, I think he got hit in the back or something going into a turn. And, yeah, oh well. I still got a lot of customers out of that, though. I got a lot of commercial customers. What am I doing? Yes, I keep losing track of what I'm doing. Alright, so I said, of course, at Evo, I think I posted about update 3, didn't I? Did I? Yeah, it sponsorship. I I've been at companies when sponsorships have happened where definitely it just doesn't benefit as much as it should. I after I left iRacing, I had the the referral code they were personalized at that point, where basically you would get a certain amount of like kickback in real money, not in iRacing credits, for how many people you referred to the product. So I had made like landing pages for each type of user. So basically, if someone was searching for NASCAR sim, they landed on my website's NASCAR page, and then I told them about the NASCAR content. If someone was looking for an F1 sim, they didn't have an F1 car, so I got like an open wheeler and stuff like that, and was advertising that way. Trying to use the SEO, to best effect, because it was easy back then. And I was referring more people than Marcos Ambrose was, who obviously had this big sponsorship deal and stuff with iRacing. And I was bringing in more customers than him after I'd left the company. And I only knew that because they would tell you that you were the highest earner. And when I was getting my emails about it, I was constantly told I was the highest earner. And that was while I was working for ISI right before RF2 released. These days, you basically, like I've seen a few people trying to be clever with their standard referral codes, like the ones that you enter in your profile on iRacing, where they will do things like buying Google ads. So if someone clicks, they have spent, cents. But if someone actually signs up, they'll get dollars back, or iRacing dollars back. So there's a few ways that you can do it now, but it used to be really easy with the way Google used to work, and landing pages and stuff, and making sure you had things properly set up. But yeah, these days not so much. I don't know if I would ever sponsor a car again. I think that Joey Gase thing was just lucky, really. Not for them. I think they had to spend a lot fixing that car. But the entire end was flattened. It's actually really hard to concentrate on what the hell I'm doing. I need to find whether I posted. Where am I? Oh, okay. Yeah, they released it in a confusing way, didn't they? Where they sent like an email to people that were on their mailing list and stuff, and it was confusing. So I did 0.3, so I'm going to do 0.4. And yeah, I really love that. Obviously, I am a big retro guy. I think it's unfortunate actually that people will always be waiting for the next big sim, and they overlook the fact that you could go back and you could go play through a season of something from the 90s or the noughties or whatever, and have a really fantastic experience. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't see that. When I streamed yesterday, it was just a little test stream, but this is the steering wheel I used. It's a mid-90s steering wheel, and I used a real old PC and stuff, but you don't have to. You can emulate pretty much everything. It's just I'm weird, so I like doing it that way. But the fact, you can play, like you can play IndyCar Racing 2 in 4K with rendition graphics. You can, the guy who did the rendition wrapper is also working on widescreen for it. I don't know whether he's actually got it done yet. Let me see whether I can find that. Oh, it comes up with the movie rendition. Okay, so here he is. This guy. Actually, does that work? Yeah, okay. So this guy here, he's done a rendition wrapper, and obviously, he's got IndyCar Racing 2 here. He's still working on it. I know there is a widescreen mod for IndyCar Racing 2, but it doesn't use rendition, which has more impressive visuals. So he's working on it, and yeah, you can see. like he's got some work to do. But it's really funny. He posts these work in progress videos, obviously, where different changes that he's made in the code have done weird things and stuff. So um, having super widescreen support is really quite exciting for me. Um, and Rendition has things like translucent smoke. Um, it has anti-aliasing and stuff. So yeah, it's not just the DOS version upscaled. It's an actual different graphics pipeline. So um, looking forward to him saying that he's actually got this done. He looks like he's actually pretty close now. But yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. I think if it was legal, I would absolutely have it packaged for download, like on my website, where people could download IndyCar Racing 2 working fully and stuff. I do have it where you can play in your browser. Um, is my site being slow again? Oh my god. Oh, there we go. So I have all these that you can play in your browser. It is a little bit limited on what you can do. Like you should be able to connect a controller to your browser and stuff like that. But oh, my daughter's asking for something. Hold on. No, she's being ridiculous. Okay. Sorry, my website is so slow. God. Okay. This might be loud as heck, so... Oh, you're muted anyway, so I'll change the volume. Why is it not working? This was working. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay. You won't get any audio from this right now, I don't think. So basically, I have this on here so that you can just play in your browser. And with the Amiga version here, like you can play with your mouse, so you can be pretty precise. But yeah, so that's on there. Let me see. I wonder why that isn't giving you any audio. Let's have a look at that. There we go. So, but I have to have a little disclaimer at the bottom of this, you know, saying how it's for preservation purposes and stuff like that. And I don't allow it to be downloaded. You could probably do it if you know, knew how the script I'm using, like knew how that script works. But yeah, these are on here. Um, yeah, so all trademarks, copyrights, are property of their respective owners. No direct download links are provided. That's all I can do to try to protect myself. But if someone, such as Microprose with their newly released Crammon titles, I have Crammon titles playable on the website. So if they came along and said, "Hey, can you take that down?" then I would have to take it down. It's unfortunate, but it's how it is. God, my website is so slow. I need to contact the host because this is not okay. I haven't visited my own website in so long. But yeah, I have Grand Prix 2, Formula 1 Grand Prix, playable in the browser. This is the kart racing version of IndyCar Racing 2, is playable separately. And No Second Prize is another mouse control game, but these are the graphics for it. Just absolutely gorgeous for the period. But yeah, I've got a huge backlog of everything that I want to do, including putting more racing titles on here, but working full time, it's difficult to find the time. But now I'm obviously not working full time, or should say that way, really. Um, yeah, I don't really have a problem with arcade racing games and stuff either. I think if it's a good game, it's a good game. I just I have to say, like, you know, if we considered like Indy 500, like I was just playing from 1989, yeah, my host is completely down right now. You see the connection loss thing. All right, I'm gonna give up on that for a minute. Um, like I was just playing Indy 500 there, and it really was a simulator in every respect of the word, and that's more simplistic than the most simplistic arcade game released today. So does that mean that Indy 500 isn't a sim anymore? No, not really. You know, the things that developers are doing these days, especially if they're doing their own like bespoke engine, which I think the Grand Pro racing guy, I think that's his own engine that he programmed for someone else like 10 years ago, and then he's basically modified it for his own needs. But yeah, the things that developers are doing these days are so far advanced from, you know, old simulations. And, you know, as long as they give you the experience of, you know, actually racing and stuff, then they're a simulation of racing. It's you know, it depends how far they go into that. And I remember the big debate on sim racing forums and stuff 20 plus years ago was about, well, if I get in a big accident, I want my driver to be able to die and stuff like that. So it was yeah, it was crazy how the kinds of things that we were looking for realism. Like these days, I don't think something like that would even sell. Um, but yeah, we wanted all sorts of realism to punish us. And I think you don't need things like that, but it would be nice to have some level of persistence where, like, if I go out in practice and I crash into a barrier, and where they would have to fix the barrier, it would be so cool if I go out for the next session and I see an area of replaced barrier, you know, just little persistent things like that. It's yeah. Yeah, I have Expand Rally somewhere. Yeah. Ta-da. Yeah, the thing with the ego engine that really gets me is that if I go back and run probably F1 2010 through 2012, and I run it in 4K, it looks absolutely gorgeous. And if I run the modern titles, I don't feel like I'm getting like 15 years worth of difference on that. And I feel like in a lot of ways the visuals are worse because it kind of looks like like if you pause motion, it always looks smudged, because of a lot of the processing filters and stuff that they have over the top of everything. Yeah, it just really, nothing seems to look as sharp and stuff as it should. And I get that they want to do motion blur and stuff like that. It just doesn't look right. It really doesn't. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. The early grid games as well. I think actually, like one of my favorite racing games. Talking about not having a problem with arcade stuff, I think Dirt 2. I think it was still called Colin McRae Dirt 2 at this point. Dirt 2, I think, is maybe my, like, it might be top five racing games or sims ever. It's really, really good. Like, I love the career element, the map that you would select everything around. Just really, really nice. Yeah, Codemasters released some really good games. I think they're being eaten alive, like, yeah, like you say, by EA. Sorry about that. That was really loud. That even peaked the audio thing on my screen. Yeah, that's actually one title I don't have a box for. Um, Speaking of boxes, is there anything else that, or anything, because my website is obviously not gonna play nice. Um, oh, here's no second prize. If you can get my website to work at any point, um, the no second prize motorcycle game that I showed is literally like nobody remembers it or anything. There we go. But it was so good. It's a first person motorcycle game that you control with your mouse, and you control the lean with the mouse. And so good. Yeah, GT Legends was great. I liked the cars in that. That was one of the things that with PMR the car roster was so exciting. Um, and it was great to license them and stuff. So yeah, no further comment. The the web host that I'm with are really frustrating. Every single time I contact them, they'll say it's a new reason that it's not performing. And I can pinpoint exactly when it got worse because when I first moved to them, it was fine, and then they did a service or upgrade or something, upgrade, and that's the day that it got worse, and it stayed worse. So I don't know. Yeah, it'll keep coming and going. It's like it's like it fills up something. I don't know whether it's memory or you know whether someone because it's a shared server. Whether someone else who's on there, each time it comes back, it's like they probably cram in all of their stuff, and it overloads the server. But I've been told so many times like that it's different things that I'm doing, and I have to explain to them my website is loading a text file, and it's taking like a minute to load a text file. So no, it's not what you're saying. But yeah, just frustrating. And I did take I took Google Ads off the site because yeah, I just there wasn't enough return, and I felt like it was annoying to see them sometimes. But if I put those back on, I could probably pay for a better hosting setup. Yeah, typical upgrade. Okay, well, I will probably try to post news then this evening or something and see if I can catch up with today by the time I go to bed tonight. Um, One of the things I want to do, because I have like PCs built from most of the early eras. What's my opinion regards AC Rally and AC Evo? Um, I think Kunos are generally good. I don't have completely good feel with AC Rally. Um, there's I'll say there's a couple of different tiers of racing sim engines and stuff for me, and RF2 and Le Mans Ultimate still. I basically can start them up, and my brain is like, okay, you're in a car. And the other end of the scale, not the complete other end of the scale, but the other end of the scale with like the Codemasters F1 sims, I will get in there and I'll need to do many laps to train my brain to the point where it feels like LMU or RF2 does out of the box. And I feel like the Kuno Sim's currently more AC Evo. It's like I have to train my brain more at this point. Um, AC Rally is a little bit better than AC Evo, in my opinion. But I kind of, it's mainly throttle, like when I'm putting the power down and stuff. I don't get the feedback that I would want at this point, and I know they're not finished with that. So that's why I'll say at this point. But I'm sure they'll get there. You know, a benchmark title for sure, and I think they are really close already. The only thing, the only thing I'll say on AC Rally as well that is a little bit damaging, kind of, is an early access rally title. It kind of, I am worried that by the time it actually releases, everyone will have memorized the stages, and then what are they going to release? Like that, in my opinion, they need to hold back a lot of rally locations and stages for the official launch. Because if they let everybody have access to everything in early access, I think it really is going to have issues. Because, you know, if you memorize everything during early access, what's the point in rallying? You know. Like I know with Richard Burns Rally, I will revisit it every so often, and I will feel like I've completely forgotten everything, but I will get a few turns into the stage, and it just comes back. So it's yeah, it's a little bit more that I am ignoring, the pace notes and stuff, and I'm just driving what I know is there. So yeah, I genuinely hope that they've thought about that. Intuitive is such a better word than me talking about training my brain. Yeah. I do think people are a little bit misunderstanding how laser scanning is going to affect the creation of the stages in AC Rally. In my opinion, it'll speed things up. The thing with any like if you're creating stages from a video, you have to you have to get it. You have to get the data off that video, make a simplistic model of the stage or sketches or however you're going to do it, and you've got multiple steps to get to the point where a laser scan immediately gets you. With a laser scan, you're literally just able to trace out the placement of everything, trees, everything. I think that will speed things up, and I think there's a bit of a misconception that it's going to slow things down. I have Sebastian Loeb Rally on Steam, I think, but I have literally never started it. Pretty sure I do. I always wonder how I'm supposed to say his last name because I don't know if I've heard it enough to have it programmed in my head. Lobe. I have Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo. Well, some of the animations in the community thing look make it look like it yeah, it definitely looks at least the equal of anything that Codemasters put out. But um, okay, I'll check that out. I buy every single racing game, like everything. So I generally will have them. If I don't have them boxed, um, I'll still have them. Okay, but I might have to run it through an emulator for my wheel. Oh, that's unfortunate to read about that guy. So it depends how they're using the data. I was talking to someone who was raced on the Welsh stage in AC Rally in real life, who said it didn't match his experience at all. Did it? Did he specify how? Like, because if it's something like surface grip and things like that, I assume that's something that would be changing over time. But if the layout itself seemed completely different, that's obviously not good. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate it. I wish I had more time for it, which I do now, unfortunately. Um, but it would be nice if the website was actually responding enough for me to use it as well. Oh, really? That was a. Oh, that's good to hear. I'm glad that that virtual archive was useful for someone. I was emailing or trying to email Montoya for years to let me export it. Um, but yeah, he just never responded. And like I would have quite happily just carried it on the same way I have the archive up there, but yeah, just never responded. So I had to use a like a downloading tool and basically told it to go like 10,000 links deep on the website and crawled it all before he obviously stopped paying for hosting and it was killed. But you're saying that the Welsh Rally stage has been scaled vertically 2 times. So it's got the correct twists and turns, but more elevation. That potentially could be something that, like with iRacing, when I did laser scanning of iRacing tracks, which is another thing I've done. The whole 2 millimeter accuracy thing is around the entire track. So basically, people think it's the individual, like the whole of the surface, but it's actually a 2 millimeter accuracy around the entire loop. So we would have these little balls that we would put in front and behind of the laser scanner, and it was a stationary scanner, and it would scan in a circle, including the balls, and then you would move it to the next scan location, and then the forward balls became the rearward balls for the next scan, and then each scan would have to be stitched, and then around the entire track, you then had to you then had to have it within a 2 millimeter difference, and I think what you could be seeing there is either a situation where they didn't stitch things, so you've ended up with something, going like this when it should be straight, but also it could be if it's a laser scanner that is on a vehicle and they haven't accounted for suspension travel, because that obviously would alter the bumps and dips, especially if they've not gone slowly. Which, if it's a public road, maybe they couldn't. Someone should back up all the files in there, because without the GTR2 mods, it would be gone forever. Which, what do you mean about the GTR2 mods? Are you talking about like Overtake or something else? Okay. Like, it's possible these days, because I haven't done laser scanning for a long time. It might be that there is technology where, like with the balls that iRacing was using when I did it, which they might not even be doing now, but in the same way that VR headsets used to need tracking cameras, these days they track themselves. It's possible that they self stitch, or they literally create the whole model as they go along. But iRacing historically used to stitch together individual scans. But yeah, I don't know what the new tech would be or how that would work, and I'm amazed that something could be potentially even in a backpack that would provide decent surface data. It's kind of crazy, actually, to think about. The Leica scanner that iRacing used was massive. Hello, Shiva. on Twitch. If you know of a website that's potentially going to go down, GTR Driver 27, yeah, just let me know, because I'll try to um, archive what I can. Oh, hello. Yeah, I remember you, but I don't know how or where I remember you. Talking to someone on Twitch there, for everyone on YouTube who thinks I'm insane. Yeah, I I don't think a lot of No Grip was archived, and it's unfortunate the way their website works, or worked even, because if you go on the Internet Archive, every single download was behind a script that the end result, the end file, wasn't archived, so it was all lost as far as I know. The only thing that you can find sometimes is if you go on the Internet Archive. Um, there will be like mod packs that people have uploaded their like downloaded mods. Yeah, let me. Yeah, the on the Internet Archive, if you go to software and then all, and you search things like GTR2 mods, it it has a decent amount of them. Um, but obviously it's nothing like what will have been on No Grip. Sometimes you can switch it to text contents and it'll get you better results, but not in this case. I wonder. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think the same thing happened with rFactor Central as well, really. Um, yeah. And driving Italia, he used to, or he told me that he had a server crash and he didn't have a backup. That's why a lot of his stuff was lost. And then there was also there was an Italian site, I think, like simracing.it or something like that, or was it M4 Racing or something, that used to be around ages ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many that are lost. It's really unfortunate. Yeah. Let me see. I think there was definitely. I think the mods you're talking about were called Perfect Grand Prix, and oh no, this is the wrong title, isn't it? So yeah, Perfect Grand Prix made patches for Grand Prix 2 and 3. This is the one um, for Grand Prix 2 if you are looking for that. But let me get you the one for Grand Prix 3. You should be able to go to Grand Prix 3, files, and then, yeah, Perfect Grand Prix, Indianapolis, Sepang, and updated Monza mod for Grand Prix 3. So, yeah, that should be your download. And then they had a game editor that they released as well. But yeah, it's funny actually. The game was supposed to be, let's see. So they announced a 1999 season add-on. Um, Obviously, this is in 2000. Grand Prix 3 itself released in 2000 with the 98 season. And then they were going to release a 99 season, and they did not. They changed it to 2000 season, and then it was the first time ever actually that Crammond released anything the season during the year of the season, because obviously Grand Prix 1 was released early 92 with 91. Grand Prix 2 was released 96 with 94. Grand Prix 3 was 2000 with 98. And Grand Prix 4 was, I think it was, oh, that might be another one actually. Grand Prix 4 might have been 2002 in 2002, maybe. I can't remember. But, yeah. Let's have a look actually, because I cannot remember. Okay, site's being slow again. I only left the previous host because they were starting to complain about file storage, because of the archives I have, my file storage usage is massive. But at least the site performed well there, and then I moved to this one because they have unlimited, and the performance is terrible. Okay, I'm just not going to do that. Let me scroll back up again a little bit. Yeah, there's a site that you should probably check out. Okay, if you are looking for mods for the Crammond titles or even the EA titles, this site is still up and still has all of its downloads. emacf1.emacberry.com. So let's go to Grand Prix 3, for example. So it has like all of the official patches, like certain season updates and stuff like that. So you've got Grand Prix 3 here, full like 1998 update, 97, 96. Like everything's still here. And I have emailed him a few times to make sure he knows that if he's ever going to take this down, that I will take it. But he says he's fine. So it's fine for now. I have downloaded everything, but yeah, I still waiting on that. And actually, one of the things that is one of the positive things, kind of, that I can say about where I've been working is like a lot of these names, like Ralph here, R- Ralph Hummerich. He worked at the same studio, so did Evo, who did a lot of stuff for, I want to say here. I don't know if these are all Ralph still. But anyway, yeah, if you're looking for mods for a lot of the titles that they're about to re-release, a lot of these mods will probably work with those new versions. I don't think they would be stupid enough to make it so old mods didn't work. GTR Driver, yes, I like. It's definitely where they're not going to be for me. I think like I have the old titles and stuff like that, and it's only really if the modding community really takes off on them where there'll be, you know, mods that aren't duplicated from the old days, or they end up, I don't know, bringing something into it where it's actually better than the older experience in some way, then, I'll absolutely be into that. But I do like the fact that it's going to reintroduce a new generation of people to these older Sims, because that's what I am all about for sure, is making sure people have access to this stuff. And it's nice that even though the Crammon titles were definitely not gonna die off because you can download them from anywhere. I think it's yeah, it's still a positive that new people get to try them out. R Factor Central was a funny thing actually. When I worked at ISI, we were constantly getting emails from people that were asking to be unsubscribe from stuff that they had subscribed to, because R Factor Central had this auto downloader and stuff like that that you could pay, and a lot of people thought that it was ISI that were running it, and obviously it was nothing to do with us. And but what got me the most is that R Factor Central basically hadn't done anything or had any new content for like 5 years, and you'd still have people saying, I'm paying you this much each year, can I cancel it? And the amount of people that just must not pay any attention to what's going out of their bank account is crazy. Goodbye, GTR Driver. Thank you for stopping by and asking questions and stuff. That was awesome. Yeah, the fact that you could get retail releases that were using official cars and stuff like that and official tracks, and obviously they were not licensed. But yeah, crazy. Sim Raceway, I don't think is possible to play. Like, I don't know of like a crack that would allow it to be played still without locking in and stuff like that. I actually don't know. I do know that the content got saved somewhat because when, although probably at this point it's useless, so it's probably been deleted by John. But when Sim Raceway was actually going down, ISI seized all of its stuff. because they weren't paying. So yeah, I was I was there doing the commercial stuff at that point, and that's actually how I got RSC back. By the way, is because when I joined iRacing in 2005, I gave up the site for other people to run, and then in 2008 they completely lost the site. Like the server went down, and the backup had also failed at the same time, and nobody was doing a local backup. So yeah, because Sim Raceway was the RF1 engine, if you didn't know that. So yeah, they had costs to pay for that, and they didn't. So and if you think about a lot of the content that they had in there too, they were licensing all sorts of cars that would have been really expensive. So they had a lot of debt, and yeah, they couldn't pay ISI. So when they shut down completely, ISI took everything, including the Racing Central website that they had. They had purchased it while I was working for iRacing, because in 2008 it had all gone down and nobody had done a local backup and everything like that. All it was a domain name. So the people that owned Sim Raceway purchased RSC from the guys that had it at that point, so that they could basically use it to put news about other sims, but also to push Sim Raceway and the steering wheel and stuff like that they had as well. And when it came to the point that their finances imploded, yeah, ISI took everything. But yeah, there was nothing to save really. It was like, but we got the 3D models of everything and stuff. And as far as I know, it just sat on a server, and now it's probably lost. But yeah, we had all of the models and everything. And then yeah, during the process, the RSC website was taken back, and then I was given that and told to do what I wanted with it. So it was years later actually that I actually brought it back online, 2019. Yeah, they definitely, I think they handled getting into a driving session through the website and stuff like that. Very similar to iRacing in that regard. Although iRacing did have, when I first joined iRacing, when I first joined iRacing, there was a little like USB key thing that you could put in the computer, and it would run an offline server, and the little key thing was just to authenticate, so that you could do that. And that's probably similar to how iRacing do it now with their commercial stuff, unless they still require an internet connection, which would suck. But that's good. I didn't know that it was fully transferred. Gonna sneeze. Hold on. That was a quick mute. Yeah, I'm glad that that was transferred, and it sucks for the people who paid into it. But yeah, there's been a few companies that have been in that situation. Like I said earlier, the reason why Riser went from the ISI engine to the SMS engine was because they didn't get the ISI engine for AMS2. So yeah, it happens. Okay, I am probably gonna call it here. Hopefully during the evening, my website is actually running okay. I'm going to email the host and whinge at them. See if I can get it to work properly. I don't know if I might be better off actually if I just stream a racing game or something rather than trying to interact doing website stuff. But I generally have off now on Thursdays and Fridays, but I've also, you know, got off other times too, depending on what I need to do. So I'll be streaming more and trying to make some videos and stuff like that, trying to bring in some money where I can. So yeah, please subscribe, all that good stuff, the thumbs up, all that stuff, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye bye.